Coming up on High School Scoreboard Live. All eyes are on H-Town. It's a battle of two top 10 teams in Class 4A. We'll show you highlights of one of the Billboard Top Players of the Week. Urban Thrill Hill looks for another record-setting performance. Tuba B or not Tuba B? High School Scoreboard Live bands together as some ranked teams fall like dominoes. Welcome into the show that never sleeps. He is the most passionate high school football broadcaster in the world. Craig Way, I'm just setting him up. Rick Renner, great to see you. We got a huge week this week. Some schools in danger of dropping their second and third game in district so early, like the Abilene Eagles, just 4 years removed from their last state title. We'll have highlights of their game with Cooper coming up later.
You know, that's serious, and when you think about it also, some big matchups early in district play, and you can get a leg up. Especially some of the upsets that happen tonight. Yes, there are always upsets, and we have a few of those this evening.
Remind you to call 1-866-314-1FSN or 1376 to get your scores in. Well, welcome to the show that never sleeps, and it's so much fun, this show. You know, you talk about the biggest matchup of ranked teams tonight in the greater Houston area. Number 6 Texas City and 9th-ranked Pearland Dawson, both featuring two great coaches and an abundance of all-stars. Tony Upchurch is a stud receiver going to LSU. Who could forget? The world-famous Foreman brothers, both 4-0, and somebody's O must go. Winner is in the driver's seat in 24-4A. Let's go to Texas City, a signature victory in the balance of this one. And there's a Monty Foreman. I told you about the Foreman brothers. This guy gets loose, he's breaking tackles, and he's breaking hearts. Spinning into the end zone, 50 yards out. Texas City is for real. But Pearland Dawson would answer. Brian Winningham is trying to make them win again. And we're all tied up, but all Texas City late in this one. It's Andrew Allen getting away from trouble there. Out of the pocket, finding Deontay Foreman. And a beautiful grab there from 12 yards out. Seems like every guy in the team's Foreman, and he's really good. Texas City, 44-14. The Stings, 5-0, 2-0 in district, and they are in the driver's seat, Craig.
The annual contenders in the greater Austin area always include out of Class 5A, two schools in the same 5A district. The rivals who annually contest their battle of the hills at the end of the regular season, Lake Travis and Westlake. In fact, the Lake Travis-Westlake matchup predates their being in the same district when Lake Travis was in the process of winning an unprecedented 5 consecutive 4A state championships. Enter, however, a new player in the 15-5A sweepstakes, the undefeated Bowie Bulldogs, fresh from a 21-16 win over Westlake last week, and now ready to push the envelope by making a trip to Lakeway tonight to face Lake Travis. But Lake Travis certainly ready to go right out of the gate. There's the Dogs ready to go as well, but didn't take Lake Travis long. Dominic DeLira to Dominic Pachter. Dominic, and they were dominating early. 8-0 after they went for 2, and on the next drive, it's Sean Nixon. Of course, we know how talented he is. The future Texas Aggie takes it in from the Wildcat, set it's 15-0 mid first. Then Nixon straight up the middle, power, speed into the end zone. It's 22-0 Lake Travis. On defense, Chris Roller coming to the fore with the pick, takes it back 70 yards. And actually, it's 40 yards officially, but because he's zigging and zagging, it goes for about 70 across the field in for the touchdown. Lake Travis was up 29-0 at the half, and no trouble at all for the Cavs. I'm telling you, this team is starting to get guys healthy and become dangerous. In their second years of 5A school, they went 43-50.
Yeah, they know a little bit about winning state titles. Let's go to San Antonio and what could be a District 29 4A title game between Floresville and Harlandale. That's Harlandale quarterback Brandon Raymond scrambling. He keeps it. Everything looks great, but then he would cough it up. And that kind of thing will happen when you have optimistic and really just great defense for Floresville. They get the turnover in their first possession, and then Dadrian Contreras is going to come up with a loose ball and make it happen, which sets up Gilbert Ortiz, 7-0 Floresville. From there, Raymond gets it going to James Mendoza. And he's always above the Mendoza line and the touchdown line. And guess what? In the end, Harlandale remains unbeaten. They're sitting in the driver's seat at 5-0. A huge one in District 27. Alamo Heights and Seguin in the battle of the 3-1s. How about the start by Heights in this one? On the first play of the game, the playmaker, Byron Proctor, Oh, you don't need to see a doctor after this guy. Look at him, 70 whopping yards, tiptoes down the sideline, in for the score. It's 7-0 Mules. Just the first play of the game. Proctor breaks another 70-yard touchdown run later on, had 140 yards on 2 runs, but then Seguin answers. Walker Franz to Shelton Whitson. This one would go back and forth, but the Mules just too much. They got some great offense there. They win their first district game, while the Matadors drop to 0-2 in district. And another score to mention, the one between the Madison Mavs and the Roosevelt Rough Riders. This one is all Mavs. Look out for them. They're quietly putting together a nice little season here at 5-1. Well, let's take a look at the top 10 teams in Class 5A, Craig, and how they fared tonight. The #1 ranked Allen Eagles and DeSoto with the week off. In fact, there were 6 teams in Class 5A in the top 10 that had the week off, so no real surprises here.
No, it's the perfect week to take that bye because you're right at the numerical midway point of the season. You may have played a district game or 2. You may not even have started district play yet, but the bye falls at the right time. Now, Katy will play tomorrow night against Mayde Creek, or tomorrow against Mayde Creek. South Lake Carroll won last night, Thursday night, no trouble at all with Timber Creek, as did Pflugerville Hendrickson beating Round Rock Stony Point, and Pearland easily over Pasadena Raver. So it's one of those weeks, Rick, where, like we say, you get a chance to kind of, back down a little bit, get your guys healthy again, get some rest for them, and then strategize for the upcoming stretch drive of district play. That's the important thing now, because you're going to really get in the meat and potatoes of district competition the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, we had Claude Mathis on our earlier show tonight, and he just went, woo, I'm done with playing the Cedar Hills, the Arlington Martins, the Euless Trinities, the Union from Oklahoma, and he rolled all those teams who are very, very good. Let's take a break. Coming up next, it's off to the capital city. Plus, the Fox Sports Southwest girls will chime in with their thoughts on what's going down in the social universe. That when Scoreboard Live rolls on in a moment.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by Ford F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 36 straight years. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We move into the greater Austin area, and that's Stacy Searles. He's the offensive line coach for the University of Texas, taking a close look at Kerrville, Tybee, and Hayes. And early on, is this Johnny Manziel-esque since it is Tybee? Well, it's Adrian Madron takes it in at 7-0 Antlers. Rebels answer 3rd and 16. It's Jeff Jordan Little to screen to Ty Gogler, and he turns the little screen into a long touchdown. 64 yards, that evens it at 7. After a muff punt return by Hayes, the Antlers capitalize. Cade dial to a leaping Taylor Aarons. Nice catch there. Takes it on in, and it is Tybee winning a squeaker over Hayes, 34-31. If we're in the greater Austin area, of course, Cedar Park in action. That's Todd Dodge and his Marble Falls high-flying Mustang offense, but we know what Nate Grin can do, and Bill Estebanot takes it in for the score, 7-0 T-Wolves. On the march now in the second quarter. What else does Nate Grin do? Well, he quarterback keeps and runs around and takes it in for the score. It's 15-0, and then Nate, just for good measure, throw back the other way. This one to Daniel Moritz, 30-yard touchdown runs, and Cedar Park in a shootout. Marble Falls likes to get you. That Todd Dodge likes to get you in those shootouts, but Cedar Park gets the win over Marble Falls, 51-34.
Tough to do that against the defending state champs in the Grim Reaper. Time now to find out what is all the rage in a busy night in social media, and for that, the Fox Sports Southwest girls, Kami and Liddy, what's the buzz?
Thanks, Rick. We have so much fun on Football Fridays, and tonight was yet another success. We've had pregame, spirit pump up. What else have we had? So let's check out some of our favorites.
Some of our favorites. Our very first one is from Megan Reed, and it's Allen's unofficial mascots.
I gotta say, you're a big-time football fan if your dogs are celebrating with you.
Dressing up as Allen Eagles, huh? Watch out, Eagles. These pups are taking over.
Our second photo is sent in by Cameron, and one of our favorites is always homecoming. So of course we had to show some homecoming spirit. Not so little brother anymore. Happy homecoming.
Oh, you know, earlier tonight, homecoming was the #1 trending topic on Twitter.
It's popular.
That is crazy. Our next picture is from Patsy Sutherland. A Mustang victory makes a sweet homecoming. Congrats, Creekview.
And I'd say that is a wonderful way to end the night with a win. And we want you guys to keep sending in your photos because we're going to continue the pump-ups, the spirit, and have just a lot of excitement. So what hashtag can they use to keep it going?
TXHSFB. That's hashtag TXHSFB. And don't forget to sign on to foxsportssouthwest.com/Football Friday to keep up with our photo wall and our tweet tracker. And we will see you guys next Friday.
Thanks, Kami and Liddy. Hey, break time on the show. Coming up next, North Texas. The Battle of the Dentons. Irvin Hill and that high-flying offense of Arlington, Houston. Plus, Corbett Smith of the Dallas Morning News will chime in with his thoughts on a busy night in the DF Dub. Hey, congratulations to our Week 4 winners of the Bill Ford Tough Player of the Week trophy. Irvin Thrill Hill tied an all-time Arlington ISD record last week with 463 total yards. Texas Tech-bound Patrick Mahomes is my homie. He's already thrown for 2,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. Jarrett Black of Shallow Water off to an unbeaten start. He's a two-time winner. And Goliath Sturm carries a 3.75 GPA. He also is all-district in hoops. And Michael Gutierrez can squat 560 pounds. That's like Craig and I together. And the #1 team in the two-time defending state champs in private schools is led by Eminem, who has absolutely every school record in Midland Christian. Let's check on the Ford winner, Irvin Hill. How about his Texans against winless North Crowley tonight? This would be an interesting one. We pick it up in the fourth quarter, tied at 14-all, but not for long. Sam Houston's Dalen Woods runs right up the middle, and it's a 23-yard touchdown run. That put the Texans up 21-14. Later in the fourth, Panthers with the ball. Dez, Henderson, and he'll enjoy those blocks. Looks like the Panthers are about to tie it up, but they elect to go for two and the lead. But Kalen King's pass here would fall short. And the two-point conversion fails, and that would be your game. Sam Houston escapes with the win, 21-20.
How about Mansfield Legacy, a perfect 4-0 on the road at Red Oak. Terrence Ivey on the rollout, Everett Williams for the touchdown. Extra point miss. Broncos lead at 6-0. Still first quarter, and Kajana Armos. Then the 2-yard run up the middle. The two-point conversion is good. And they almost got it in. It's 14-0 Legacy. Now in the second quarter, 14-6 Bronco lead, and it's Ivory again, Amos, and he shows his speed. 22 yards in for the touchdown. Again, the extra point no good. Legacy up comfortably at that point, and they go on to a 2-touchdown win over the Red Oak Hawks, 49-35.
Meanwhile, in the Battle of Denton, the Broncos no match for Longhorn-bound Gerard Hurd and defending state champ Geyer, who's playing mad after dropping the first two games, one of them by forfeit. But they're catching some momentum. They've won 3 in a row. Hurd threw for 106, ran for 162, and 3 touchdowns. Let's find out what the hot topic is in Sports Day HS tomorrow morning in your Dallas Morning News with Corbett Smith. Corbett, Allen and DeSoto off this week. Who stood out from the rest of the pack?
I think what you really want to look at are who are those next teams down the road. They might not be Allen or DeSoto, but very much like a Mesquite last year, who had a fantastic season and got beat by Allen in the playoffs, but really was one of the contenders for that state title. It's just that they got stumbled up against Allen. And I think you can look at that same district and see Mesquite Horn right now. Perfect season thus far with a nice win over a Rockwall team that's greatly improved under Horn's former coach. Rodney Webb came over to Rockwall this year and has really done wonders for that program. But Horn continues to roll. Destry White, their quarterback, continues to impress. And I wouldn't be surprised if Horn can pull an upset there in Region 2.
You know, Corbett, I want to jump to Class 4A for a moment. I know you got a chance to look at a little bit of Trophy Club Byron Nelson against Lake Dallas. Also, they're in that same district with Geyer as well. How about the shakedown? Is it Geyer and everybody else, obviously, but what about the rest of the schools in that district?
I think you look at that game tonight. Well, of course, you've got Wichita Falls Rider, who already has a big win over Byron Nelson. So I think they're probably slotted #2. But I think that was probably a playoff positioning game tonight. And that's why I actually went out to watch that game, because Lake Dallas was undefeated coming into the season. They both ran the ball pretty well. Lake Dallas has a sophomore quarterback that's throwing the ball a little bit better. I think that these teams will, contend for playoff spots. Remember, Byron Nelson finished 7-3 last year and missed the playoffs in what is a pretty tough district.
Thanks so much for the knowledge. Appreciate you, buddy. Check out Corbett Smith and the kicker David Newberry, who's simulcast their radio show in Dallas on 1310, The Ticket, powered by the Dallas Morning News, right here before our show. Well, let's take a look at the top 10 in Class 4A. What are the surprises here, Craig?
Well, just looking down the list, the only one some might say is the margin of defeat. 9th-ranked Pearland Dawson falling to Texas City, losing by 30. Other than that, it's business as usual for those that were playing, and a couple of idols you see in there. Elgin and Manor, both with a week off. They play next Thursday night in the Highway 290 battle in Elgin.
It's going to be interesting to see if anybody can compete with Aledo. The Bearcats got it rolling right now. Break time on Scoreboard Live. When we come back, more from Houston. Ridgepoint and Marshall get it on, and we'll chat with our man in H-Town, Ahmad Vital, coming up on Scoreboard Live in a moment.
It's quiz time at the Built Ford Tough Sales event. What truck's been number one 36 years straight? Hint, this ain't multiple choice. It's Ford. How do we know? We did a little number crunching. Forestry, we came out on top. Building stuff, same result. It's simple math. More Ford trucks are out there with you getting the job done. That's why we own work. Now crunch.
Thursday night, Dulles making a huge statement in a battle of Fort Bend with Clements. This was a breakout game for Dulles Jr. Remus Bulmer. This guy is unbelievable. 334 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. He broke this one off for 40 yards in the first quarter. He had 2 touchdown runs in this game of more than 70 yards. He's good. Their defense came up big as well. Jameel Cook cooking up the fumble there and rumbled 75 yards the other way. That would seal the deal. Dulles beats Clements 47-27 to move to 1-1 in district play, Craig.
Ridgepoint taking on Marshall, and the Buffaloes itching to get on the field. Meantime, the 3-1 Panthers of Ridgepoint looking to make a statement. Busy first quarter. Marshall to strike first. Devon Crookshank taking it home from 15 yards out. Buffs on top 7-0. The lead didn't last long, however. Here comes Ridgepoint. Senior back Dorian Price, a little running room, takes it in from 10 yards out. Game tied at 7 in the opening frame. Marshall led at 14-10 at the half. Now to the third quarter, Ridgepoint's Jesse Krebe connects with Jax Biggers, takes a big lick at the goal line, holds on. Panthers up 17-14. In the fourth, Ridgepoint extends the lead. Captain Jamarcus Johnson on the handoff, and right in 24-14. Ridgepoint holds on for the win over Marshall. 24-21. Panthers now 4-1.
And with that, we bring in the source of Houston football, Ahmad Vital of Scout.com. He joins us on the phone right now. You were at that Ridgepoint Marshall game. What stood out to you?
Aside from the fact that nobody thought that even Ridgepoint could even pull this off, I can tell you right now that these guys were so excited when this was over. And Coach Brett Sniffen said that, you know, they corrected the ship. They got the ship right for the first game. As you remember, they got housed in week 0 by Clear Creek. But they came out in this game, outgained Marshall 413 to 219. On top of that, Marshall made too many mistakes down the stretch. Ridgepoint was on point tonight, making all the plays they needed on offense and defense. But, you know, when you have 16 penalties for 105 yards and your kicking game is off, that just doesn't bode well for one of the top teams in the area. And I tell you what, Ridgepoint came out and took this game. It wasn't a win. They took tonight's game.
Ahmad, there's lots of great talent on both sides of the ball, not only in that game, but you've seen it throughout the first half of the season. It's really kind of the numerical midway point of the season. Who are some of the guys that you have seen in this first half of this 2013 high school football season in the greater Houston area that really have stood out to you individually?
Outside of this game, obviously there was a ton of good talent on this team. If I had to pick one from offense and one from defense, I'd probably say Brenham Cortland Sutton is probably one of the best players I've seen. All-around guy, can play offense or defense. Probably holds about 7 offers right now. I know Colorado's one of the big schools he's looking at. I mean, he's a versatile guy, 6'3", about 210. Guy can do everything. He can play safety, wide receiver. He can even return punts if he probably wanted to. On the defensive side, you got to go with North Shore Zach Whitley. I mean, I've watched him once this year. Very impressive. Obviously, he's heading off to Alabama. Just everything you want out of a middle linebacker. Big, fast, can blast through the hole. I mean, definitely will fit in exactly with what Nick Saban is doing up up there in Alabama. And I tell you what, those two have probably been the most two impressive players that I've seen so far this year.
Thanks, buddy. That's Ahmad. Check him out at scout.com. He's always on the pulse of the best athletes in the greater Houston area. Number 2, Katy, playing Katy Maid Creek on Saturday. Should be an interesting one. Back with East Texas and the Brazos Valley after this short timeout. We roll on in East Texas with 2 perennial powers, Gilmer and Tyler's Chapel Hill. Kind of a surprise in this one. Chapel Hill's Kayvon Kennedy. He sacks Tanner Barr. Couldn't raise the bar on that one. Then on the punt, check this out. It's DeMarco Boyd who gets smothered by Jesse Mumphrey. That's a big hit by a big player. Gilmer up 7-0. Gilmer's Chris Boyd, though, would fill the void on this one. Nice touchdown. That made it 14-0. And in the end, Gilmer all over Chapel Hill, 56-28. In El Paso, the Bowie Bears put their 4-0 record on the line against Chapin. And Colin Bailey, look at this beautiful 27-yard run down to the 3-yard line. And that would lead to a Chapin score, 7-0. Then it's Seth Gonzalez. And I like to call this guy Speedy Gonzalez because once he gets going and he's going downhill, he will maneuver around his blockers and get into the end zone. Beautiful 51-yard TD run. That made it 14-0 Chapin. Then more Chapin. Look at Jalen Addison. A long touchdown run here. It's all Chapin. 42-7, the final in that one. Elsewhere, Jefferson taking on Andrus. And the Eagles are soaring. Thanks to Troy Klemanski. To Eldon Coleman here. Look at this beautiful hookup. Perfect pass, good timing, gets into the end zone. That made it 7-0. Then Blaze turns on the Blazers. Richardson, a 10-yard run here. He'll get in from the outside and barrel over and into the end zone. That made it 14-0. And then it's Klemanski again on the quarterback keeper, which turns into a 51-yard keeper. Look at number 10 get in for 6. 51-13. This is all Andrus.
From El Paso down to the Brazos Valley we go. District 14 5A, where tonight's matchup between A&M Consolidated and the Woodlands could go a long way in deciding a district champion. Consol on the board first. A strike to Kerry Thomas from Kobe Miller. 7-0 Tigers. That was the score after 1. Then the Woodlands gets in the end zone. And the 1-yard touchdown run puts the Highlanders up 10-7. After that, going further on down is Chris Andritzos in to make it 17-7. And then Andritzos hitting Chris Bell. 26 yards on the touchdown, and the Woodlands beats Consol 24-7. It was homecoming tonight in Madisonville.
Oh.
Mustangs taking on the Huntington Red Devils. And
Daddy's so proud.
yeah, and it doesn't take the Stangs long to get on the board either. Antoine Curtis, straight up the middle, 3-yard touchdown. Madisonville up 7-0. Red Devils forced to punt on their next possession out of the old school double wing offense, and it's blocked. Now in a moment of confusion for both the Red Devils and us. They don't really down the ball there, and it's just sitting, but Brett McLeod smarter than everyone else. He scoops and scores at 14-0. 21-zip in the second. Mustangs score again. Grant Smith, 41 yards for the house. This one well over before Cassidy Andrews is named the homecoming queen at the half. And Madisonville with the win, 56-8.
Notice a lot of guys wearing pink in support of breast cancer research this month. Great to see it. Well, let's take a look at how the top 10 in Class 3A fared tonight. A lot of business as usual tonight. East Texas flavor all over this top 10, Craigers. But so many teams on this list have a good chance of getting to Cowboy Stadium, don't they?
Hey, yeah, they really do. And in fact, we look at the down the line in the East Texas schools like Gilmer and Kilgore. Fairfield coming off that huge win over Navasota last week. Navasota bounces back. They go to Austin and beat McAllen. Don't forget about those Fighting Tarpons way down in the valley from Port Isabel with the win over Zapata tonight. Stephenville had the week off. Carthage, they've only got the one loss, so they look pretty good in the win over Rusk. And Salina won a Thursday night game over Roosevelt and Dallas. And don't forget about Graham out there in the big country beating Bridgeport as well.
Yeah, you can't blame Carthage for that loss last week. No question about that. The White House, a highly ranked team in Class 4A. Let's take a break. Coming up next, awesome crosstown rivalry, the Battle of Abilene. How about it? Cooper and High. The Cougars could have the Eagles' knockout punch tonight. The man of the hour, Lorenzo Joe, put on a show after this. Week 5 full of rivalry games. Dave Campbell's Texas football crew at this one, Abilene and Abilene Cooper. And Lorenzo Joe right up the middle. He's no ordinary Joe. Then it's Derek Scott to Jake McMillan. This would tie it up for the Eagles. But Lorenzo Joe just too much in this one, rolling, and finding Caleb Freeman, who gets free for the touchdown. The Cougars up 14-7. Next, Lorenzo Joe, he'll just kind of decide it himself. He takes it all the way to the house, and the Cougars are up 21-7. This kid is awfully good. He's going to Texas to be a Longhorn, but not as a quarterback. I wonder about that. Then Lorenzo Joe again as Abilene Cooper. How about it? They go on to beat the rival, the Eagles, who, by the way, are just 4 years removed from their last state title, and they fall to 1-5, 1-3 in district. Let's hear from a happy Cooper coach with Angela Haney.
Lorenzo, Joe, Trey Dye, and the entire offense having a great performance tonight. But how well did your defense play tonight?
I was very proud of them. I mean, they've got some explosive football players over there, and, you know, we made some plays when we needed to, especially the turnover right before halftime was huge. A couple fourth down stops, you know, in the red zone, and I was very, very proud of them.
And you could see the respect that these two teams and these coaches have for each other when you guys were shaking hands. You weren't just shaking hands, you were hugging each other. So after a game like this, what is the atmosphere like in between these two teams?
I mean, it's just 100% mutual respect. I mean, you know, we compete against them and everything. You know, these guys have grown up with those guys, and you know, our staffs work together, and I mean, they're friends of ours, and it's just a mutual respect and a love for competition in the game, and you know, it's just a pleasure to be a part of.
How pumped are you that you won this rivalry game?
Oh, I'm fired up, and we'll enjoy it for about an hour, and then you know, we got another game next week, and you know, it's a big win for our kids, and I'm very, very proud of them.
Well, Coach, congrats on the win. Go celebrate.
Thank you very much.
It's a great atmosphere out there. Meanwhile, in the Permian Basin, the Midland Lee put their undefeated district record on the line against Odessa. And Midland Lee with the ball, Aaron Dobbins out of the shotgun, and he goes through the middle, breaks the tackle, gets in there. 7-0, Rebels with the cause. Then, this isn't a replay. This is just Dobbins again doing his thing. And that made it 13-0, and the Rebels were in firm control. The Bronco offense couldn't do a whole lot of nothing in this one, or they could, and that's Aaron Superman Dobbins getting in for another score, and they roll.
We're on the basin of the corridor. We head up to Wichita Falls, and yes, it is another homecoming. City View in action against Haskell, and for City View, DJ Coursey around the corner and in for the score. City View leads it by a score of 7-0. Then it's Ryan Carr with a touchdown run to put the Mustangs back in front, 14-12 after they were down 12-7. Following a Danny Ho interception, it's Coursey's second touchdown, 21-12 at that point, and City View goes on to a big win over Haskell. Now, additionally, other action, this one would match up Azle and Old High, Wichita Falls. Sean Townsend and Trevor Boyles, great leaping catch for the Hornets. They lead at 7-0. Back come the Coyotes, however. It's Eric Butler to O.J. Clark, 8 yards, the catch, nice move, and into the end zone. Game tied at 7. Now in the second quarter at the 6-yard line. Here's Old High going in, right? The loft, the end zone pass, no, picked off. Jesse Salisbury with the interception there. 40 seconds to go in the half. Trevor Boyles in traffic, throws it up for Tyler Albers with the catch. 14-10, this went back and forth. Old High gets the win. Wichita Falls over Azle 19-14.
Man, those kids catch everything in that game. Coming up next, one of the biggest offensive displays you'll ever see in the DQ Big Game of the Week.
Hey, we're in Alvin, Texas for this week's DQ Big Game of the Week, and a big rivalry deserves a big promotion, and we've got one. Free hand-dipped cones for you, because Alvin and Manville playing in this one. It is a huge rivalry. In fact, these two teams... Yeah. Can I get you napkin? Oh, yeah, sure. These two teams were... Did you see that thing? They have been playing for only 2 years because Manville just moved up to 5A, even though Alvin's been around since the 1800s. So it's a huge game. It's Manville and it's Alvin, and it is certainly big enough to be our DQ Big Game of the Week. Yeah.
It's one of the oldest rivalries in the greater Austin area. Round Rock and Pflugerville, and the Dragons get the jump on this one early. It's Colin Henson to Keon DeLosa, 23-yard touchdown, 7-0. Round Rock on top later. It's 7-3, and it's Colin Henson taking it himself. Nice play fake back the other way. Everybody faked out that one in for the touchdown. 14-3 Dragons. Pflugerville with the answer. Clarence Guidry takes it in for the touchdown. Trims the margin of 14-9. Later, it's Panthers quarterback Zach Milner looking for the hookup and finding Justin Bickham downfield. But after this, Round Rock takes command of the game. Dragons slowly putting it together. They win it 34-16.
This week's DQ Big Game of the Week features a rising power in You the Manville. The Mavs played their first full season in 2007, made it to the state championship game in Class 4A 2 years ago, bowing out to Jonathan Gray and Alito. Now the Mavs are galloping in a Class 5A showdown. That's right, a blistering 40-7 record in the last 4 years. And they have the most sought-after lineman in the country in Coda Martin. Alvin and You the Manville play in one of the toughest districts in the state. A great stage for the Emmy Award-winning and nominated again and again and again DQ Big Game of the Week.
Manville High School, gorgeous facility, just 8 years old. The Mavericks bucking tradition, winning in almost all their sports from day one, with a number of gold footballs already behind glass. This year's squad shows no signs of letting up, especially against their neighbors 7 miles to the east.
I know what winning feels like. I know what winning smells like.
Two-time Olympic gold medalist Dee Trotter trotting out her hardware and offering up winning advice. Want to win? Better turn it up. Mavericks had their bubble burst in the 2011 state championship game, but are squashing the competition again this year, looking for a return engagement. Coach Kirk Martin invoking the spirit of the Hoka Hey. A Lakota Sioux battle cry the Mavs will use to try and go 2-0 in this series.
Hey, today we're in the Super Bowl. Hey, for us, it's just another stepping stone.
Alvin, meanwhile, has been around 110 years before Manville was even born. Hooray! The Yellow Jackets had been the horse in this one-horse town until the Mavericks showed up. They'll need to be Army strong on Salute the Troops night tonight. Senior quarterback E.J. Olszewski will have to be at his best because he'll be facing Big Coda Martin, the coach's kid, 6'7", 260, runs a 4.7, and oh, by the way, top 4% of his 5A class. Mavs young, but uber talented. Sophomore wide receiver Reggie Hemphill already committed to UT. Sophomore free safety Deontay Anderson, offered from Texas as well. 38 players sent to college ball in the last 2 years. But college means nothing in the Battle of Highway 6 tonight.
Let there be absolutely no doubt who the winner of this football game is tonight. You hear me? Yes, sir. Do it with your helmet and shoulder pads. Don't get involved in all the mess, because as soon as they get down, what's going to happen? All the mess is going to start. You're not involved in it. You be classy, but you play freaking relentless. Yes, sir. Get after their tail.
Meanwhile, for the Alvin Jackets, it's all about taking this shared field and making it home field.
Heavyweight fight right now. Heavyweight fight. During a heavyweight fight, you're going to get punched in the mouth. Stand up, you swing again. You're going to connect. Take a step back and swing again. All night, we stay up on top. Okay? Great effort every single play. Play the next play. Get after Jackets win.
Game time! Game time! Game time! Game time!
Make them bleed on 3. 1, 2, 3.
First half, Manville wastes no time in showing they the man. Derek King to Gary Haynes.
That's complete to number 2, Gary Haynes, for a Maverick touchdown.
7-zip real early. In fact, it's 14-0 Mavs after a Jacoby Perro score, then this.
Devon Penniman this time, he's through the middle of the field, inside the 5, touchdown Devon Penniman.
21-zip, that's your score after the first quarter. Second quarter, King crowns the Jackets again. Again to Haynes. Gary already offered by Houston, even though he's just a junior. Mavs scoring so fast, Fox Sports Southwest gopher Will Beasley can hardly keep up. In fact, even the defense scoring. Big Coda Martin gets the safety. After this, it's 30-0. A&M coaches in town to keep an eye on their prized recruit. Loving it too. Wow, 37-3 at the half. Manville scoring fast and furious. How fast? Hey, let's ask Olympian Dee Trotter. Headed this way. Now that was fast. She gone. This one, in fact, never in doubt. Mavs pull back the reins in the second half. Ball game. 37-13 your final. Manville 2-0 in district and in this young rivalry as well.
they did get up for them, and we knew they'd be up for us, you know. So it was an exciting night, and DQ Big Game of the Week, man. It's really special to be a part of what you guys do.
Me and Deere hooked up 3 times, yes sir. The team played hard. I'm proud how we played. We took one more step to win the district.
This is our field, like this is our house, and we just wanted to come out here and show everybody, show the district of Alvin that we're the best team in Alvin.
Up on the press box, it says Mavericks, it says Yellow Jackets, so we hope that the Mavericks stands out a little bit, you know, but it's always a good rivalry, and we definitely enjoy the game.
So for the second year in a row, this game goes to the team from the west side, and even though they share a stadium, that means the Mavericks own the field, at least for another year. For photographer Jeff Irwin, producer Clark Rowe, and gopher Will Beasley, I'm Neil Beasley. We'll see you next time on another DQ Big Game of the Week.
Thanks, Neil, Jeff, and Clark, and congratulations again on all your Emmy nominations. I'm so jealous. Fun one next week in the Coastal Bend region, Ingleside and Senton. Some great history between those twos. Former Texas Rangers relief pitcher Mike Adams was a star point guard at Senton. He was 6'5". It really is amazing what a rising power Manville has been. 4A, 5A. It really doesn't matter. The Mavs just keep on winning.
I don't think there's any question about it. And one thing that you have got to be is impressed with what Coach Martin has done, and really the way that community just wrapped itself around that school once it opened. You heard from Neil Beasley that it's only 8 years old, and they have had success across the board in all of their athletic programs. Of course, football draws a lot of attention when you go all the way to the state finals, as they did in 4A Division II a couple of years ago. Came up second only to Jonathan Gray and Aledo. It's still been quite a run for them, and they're just getting a taste of it all.
Yeah, they're awfully good. Well, let's take a break. Aaron Hardigan will break down the top defensive tackles in the state and some six-man football. I know you can't wait for that, Craigers.
Love it. Love it.
It is coming up next.
Scoreboard Live, I'm Aaron Hardigan. You can ask any great recruiter when it comes to recruiting defensive tackles. You're looking for the linemen that can best match up with the guys up front. They have to have the size, the strength, and the quickness. Here's a list of guys with the entire package and the grades, which also help. Texas has already nabbed defensive tackle Big Trey, as they call him, at St. Antonio Warren. A&M has secured a commitment from Netherlands Deshaun Washington. And meanwhile, Zaycoven Henderson of Longview is eyeing both of these programs along with OU after recently decommitting from TCU last month. And then there's Cliff Kingsbury and company in Lubbock, who get an absolute steal in Monday's under-recruited LJ Collier. Next week, we will jump back to the offensive side and examine its most important positional group, the group that allows the magic to happen, the O-line. Until then, back to more High School Scoreboard Live with Rick and Craig.
Thank you, Aaron. Mission and Ed Couch Elsa. We're 2-3 Co-District 32 4A champs last season. So it's tonight's matchup in the black hole, a big one. Yellow Jackets, running back Israel Laredo, and he's going left side, busted back inside, and he is gone. 78 yards to the house, and it is 7-0 just like that. More from Laredo. This one from Laredo. 9 yards out. First quarter ends with EE up 14-0. Second frame now. The Jackets quarterback, Noah Gonzalez. Injured, his replacement, Bruno Cianez, promptly throws a TD pass to who else but Mr. Laredo. But Mission's Stephen Cavazos would take exception to it. And there is a fight, but in the end, Ed Couch Elsa wins it 34-7.
I love it when we jump 700 miles from the valley to the panhandle. And how about a little six-man activity for you? Motley County and Happy with the panhandle. How about a little six-man activity for you? Motley County and Happy with the pass right there to Cameron McCarley, taking it in the screen, 46-6. Yeah, you bet they're happy. The Cowboys up by 40 at that point. Then Motley County, the Matadors trying to strike back. Marcus Ortiz deep to Seth Batter. What an amazing grab there. Drive stalls, however. Ensuing drive. It's Carson Bryant. Watch him plow it up the middle and takes it in, and Happy ends this one early. They win it on the 45-point roll, 54-6 over Motley County. Meanwhile, staying in the panhandle, Pampa, Canadian, Harvesters, and Canadian ready to go to it, and ready early on for Pampa. It's Tyler Hooper to David Flores, but he's taken down nothing there. Then Ben Arbuckle looking for, I love the name, Boston Hudson. But he's taken down by a group of harvesters. Canadian then sees Brock Hedgecote taking the ball around the corner and down for the touchdown for the Cats, and they go on to get the win 49-26.
Let's take a peek at the Class 2A Top 10. Defending state champ Cameron continues to roll. New Boston, the only surprise here is they go down to Dangerfield, who is always a big contender come playoff time. Everybody else rolling and several schools idle. Let's roll out the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week watch list. These are the guys we're keeping an eye on for the big coveted Ford Trophy. Clark Ashmore of the Skyrockets of Wellington, Graham's Rocket Arm, and Ben Davis. How about Alex Bell and Midland Lee? We saw him earlier. Princeton's Jakari Dillard catches everything. He is committed to Texas Tech, and VJ Gamez is getting it done for the New Deal, and he is the real deal. Back to wrap it up after this short timeout.
For 36 straight years. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Up to the Texoma region, and it's Paradise and Whitesboro. District action, first quarter for the Bearcats. It's Colin Kilcrease hitting the corner and drags a defender into the end zone. Cats lead at 7-0. Still in the first. Paradise looking to get something going. But Whitesboro defensive back, Jake Dyer has other ideas. Read the screen, picked it off, takes it home. Bearcats lead it 14-0, and Whitesboro goes on to this one, 56-zip over Paradise.
Well, Craig, there are so many great Texas rivalries we're seeing tonight. One that gets our attention every single year, no matter what the records, the Battle of the Axe. First played in 1906, tonight marks the 114th meeting between Sherman and Denison. It's one of those rivalries where it goes back 5 generations of families. You got to win this one, or you could be the laughingstock of your family. The Yellow Jackets win it tonight, 42-24, the final. We hear that Gary Joe Kenny was suspended for this game for a reason was 7-on-7 in another state. We don't know all the details there, but he was not coaching in this one. The Axe marks the spot, the bragging rights for a full year. It's the longest continuous rivalry in Texas, and Sherman leads it almost 2-1. I'm just surprised there were 8 ties, like they would have ties. It started in 1906, and the Axe came with it in 1949 after WW1. You've been a part of that for a long time. Such a fun game.
No doubt about that. More than anything else, the Super Centex region has produced some of the best lower classification matchups in the entire state. And there were 3 more such matchups tonight. Heiko at Italy, Bosqueville hosting Bremont, and number 3 ranked Chilton at home to face formerly state-ranked Martin. It doesn't mean Rusty Nails Ball Club isn't formidable, however, and they prove it. It was tied at 7 to Darian Thomas with a 37-yard touchdown run. Panthers up 14-7. Chilton coming back on the Javarius Young touchdown run, but then tied at 14. DeMarcus Cosby, he's the cousin of Quan Cosby, breaking off the 73-yard touchdown run. Mart is up 21-14 at that point in the fourth quarter. And after Chilton was unable to convert on a key 4th down deep in Mart territory, Cosby will close it out. The Cosby Kid in for the score, 28-14. Mart knocking off 3rd-ranked Chilton. Okay, I was talking about one lower classification matchup there in the Super Centex region. How about that other one? Bremont, Bosqueville, just outside the top 10 Class A rankings, meeting up 4th and goal at the 15 for Bremont, and Kate Gritch the slant to Harrison Hall for the touchdown. Bremont leads 7-0. Tiger defense also shows up. 4th and 1 for Bosqueville, and Hall makes the stop on Drew Hayes. Turnover on downs. Second quarter, still 7-0. Bremont on the march. James Jones, 25 yards in. How about Bremont? Yeah, they're knocking at the door to be in the top 10. Why not get in the top 10? They win at 41-14.
Pretty impressive stuff. Craig, should be a big shakeup in Class 1A. You know, let's take a look at what happened in the top 10 tonight with the big upset. Not really that big of an upset, though. We know what Mart can do.
Yeah, I figured that those matchups would be really big, those lower classification matchups there. Look at Stratford. They go up to Kansas to win a game in non-district play. Skyrockets look great as they rumble past Quanah. Don't forget, next week, next Saturday, is Chilton and Wellington. Now, Chilton will drop a bit after losing to Mart, but they'll still be in the top 10. They'll play Graham in a neutral site next week. Also watch West Sabine. That's Pineland West Sabine taking on Burkeville tomorrow. Albany from the Big Country region also looking good so far.
Chilton will be mad going into that. Play of the night at the Berry Center between Langham Creek and Cy Falls. Check this out. First quarter, Cy Falls forced a punt. Low liner to Dominique Harris. Bad idea. He says, oh, but Langdon style. He breaks one, not two, but maybe 6 tackles here. Takes it 58 yards to the house, and the Lobos dominate this one 55-21. What a run by Harris there.
I've seen you do that dance before. You know,
yeah, that's right.
The Langham style.
Langham style. Pretty impressive, though. You know, getting back to Mart, you know, they're a team, you know they're going to be there in the end.
Well, they take some hits early in the season because they play a tough non-district schedule. But then after that, watch out for Rusty Nails Ball Club. And like I said, out of the Super Centex region, Mart, Bremond, Bosqueville, Bremond right there between Super Centex and the Brazos Valley, of course. Great lower classification matchups. Chilton, obviously, another one to watch. It'll be a lot of fun second half of the season.
Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you join us for college football on Saturday. At the end of the day, we'll wrap it up with Big 12 Live at 11 with Gary Reasons and the crew. Everybody in action in conference this week in the Big 12. A week before the Red River rivalry. Have yourself a great weekend. For Craig, I'm Rico. We will see you next time on High School Scoreboard Live.